We are continuing to follow this amazingly explosive story about Donald Trump and his tax returns. And the backstory has been 40 years. Candidates have released their tax returns for the public to take a look at. Donald Trump has said he would not be doing this. There have been a number of polls done that confirm there is huge interest in seeing Donald Trump's tax returns. And we've speculated, and so has Hillary Clinton, and so have many others, about what they might reveal. Would they reveal that Donald Trump is not as wealthy as he says he is? Would they reveal that he has not been paying taxes? Would they reveal that he has more connections with Russia than he has admitted? Would they reveal that maybe he hasn't donated to charity to the degree he says he has? Well, we have now learned about Donald Trump's 1995 tax return. I'll tell you exactly how the New York Times got it in a second. This is the first shoe to drop in what is very clearly bombshell information that is out there. With every new bit of information that we get, it becomes more and more clear that there is a lot going on with Donald Trump's taxes. The New York Times has obtained some older Donald Trump tax records, and they show that in 1995, Donald Trump declared a $916 million loss on his income tax return. This tax deduction is so huge that it could have allowed Donald Trump to legally avoid paying any federal income taxes for up to 18 years. You'll remember when Hillary Clinton mentioned during that first debate a week ago that it's not clear Donald Trump has even paid taxes many years. Donald Trump responded by saying, "That makes me smart." And indeed, the 1995 tax return at least would set Trump up to be able to avoid paying significant levels of federal income taxes. Now, how did the New York Times get these documents? The documents were mailed last month to Suzanne Craig, who's a reporter at the New York Times, who has written in the past about Donald Trump's finances. The documents were the first page of a New York State resident income tax return, the first page of a New Jersey non-resident tax return, and the first page of a Connecticut non-resident return. Each page contained the Social Security number of both Donald Trump and his then wife, Marla Maples. Now, the three documents showed up at the New York Times by mail with a postmark indicating that they were sent from within New York City. The return address claimed that the documents came from Trump Tower. Now, of course, you can write any return address and then just drop it in a New York City mailbox, and it will be postmarked in New York City, and it will have whatever return address you wrote on it. Let's keep that in mind. The New York Times took these documents and presented them to Jack Mitnick, who's a lawyer and certified public accountant who actually handled Donald Trump's tax returns for more than 30 years until 1996. Mr. Mitnick was listed on this New Jersey tax form as the preparer. He's now semi-retired and living in Florida, said he no longer has access to Donald Trump's tax returns, but that indeed the documents appear to be authentic parts of Donald Trump's tax returns, and that the signature purportedly on these documents is indeed his, okay? So let's take a look at a couple things here. First and foremost, I want to show you the bit of Donald Trump's tax returns where we see a $915.7 million negative adjusted gross income, okay? We can't say for sure the implications of this loss on future years because we don't have Donald Trump's tax returns for future years, but we do know that a loss this big in 1995 would have been large enough to wipe out $50 million per year of taxable income over the following 18 years. Donald Trump has declined to comment on the documents. Instead, the campaign put out a statement that it doesn't challenge nor confirm the $916 million loss. Let's take a look at this statement from Donald Trump that I will show you from the Trump campaign. Mr. Trump is a highly skilled businessman who has a fiduciary responsibility to his business. his family and his employees to pay no more tax than legally required. That being said, Mr. Trump has paid hundreds of millions of dollars in property taxes, sales and excise taxes, real estate taxes, city taxes, state taxes, employee taxes, and federal taxes. Mr. Trump knows the tax code far better than anyone who has ever run for president, and he is the only one that knows how to fix it. This is what people say when they are accused of not paying income tax. They say, hey, I pay plenty of taxes. There's sales taxes and excise taxes. This is the most common way that someone who is accused of not paying income taxes responds when it is true that they have not paid income taxes. Now, remember, Mitt Romney in 2012, having a 13% effective tax rate was considered a bombshell. How does this rich guy, Mitt Romney, get away with paying only 13% effective tax rate? It appears that Donald Trump may have paid zero for many, many years. Remember, and I'll put this tweet up on the screen for you, remember when Donald Trump complained that President Obama paid only 20% taxes on his $790,000 income, President Obama paying a much higher rate, at least in some years, than Donald Trump, on a fraction of Donald Trump's income, at least in some years. The biggest thing for me here is the insanity that Donald Trump has in some way vindicated Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney was sort of awkward at times. He had a difficult time connecting with voters. He was a rich guy who didn't understand a lot of the basic day-to-day things that normal people deal with. But he seems like a reasonable guy who paid his taxes, even though it was only 13% compared to Donald Trump. Also with Mitt Romney, you could actually check his business record and see that he was a good businessman. He was legitimately successful in business. I don't agree with the way that Mitt Romney took advantage of taking businesses apart and hurting many employees. I don't agree with the model personally on a moral level, but it was verifiable. We, of course, have no reason to believe that good business people make good presidents, and that remains with both Trump and Mitt Romney. But Mitt Romney's narrative was at least verifiable and true. This is a potential disaster for Donald Trump on many levels. Hillary Clinton appears to have been right. That's number one. Donald Trump, every indication is he's hiding something terrible in his tax returns. Number two, Donald Trump's businessman credentials are also called into question. Losing $1 billion in a year could be some kind of tax strategy, right? He might have paid in $1 billion of his personal wealth into his businesses, allowing him to show $1 billion loss, and then in subsequent years being able to use that loss to offset taxes on future income. That's one possibility, and it would be legal but incredibly manipulative and really, I would argue, completely unpatriotic. Or it could be that he's not as good of a businessman as he claims, and this $1 billion loss in a year was the result of bad business decisions. Either case is not particularly good for Donald Trump. The broader analysis is every day this is in the news, it is not good for Donald Trump, and my prediction is we will be hearing more about this. There will be more information surfacing. I was recently sent, and I've been wearing, a really cool watch from Movement Watches, also known as MVMT. And I absolutely love this watch. A lot of people have been asking me about it. Movement Watches is interesting because they started similarly to how the David Pakman show started, which was it was two broke college kids who wanted to wear stylish watches but couldn't afford them. So they started their own watch company. They used crowdfunding to build their business in the same way that we at the David Pakman Show have used crowdfunding to build the show. The great thing about Movement Watches is they start at just $95. These are watches that, for this level of quality and design, you're talking about $400 to $500 at department stores. And Movement figured out that by selling online, you can cut out a lot of the middle people and the retail markup and offer the best possible prices. So you can actually get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to mvmtwatches.com/Pakman. That's Pakman. I love this watch. I love the clean design. Been getting a ton of compliments. And the greatest part is I haven't been late to a single meeting. Go to mvmt watches.com/Pakman, Pakman.